Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. Will it be easier or harder to buy a property in 2025? Stick with us until the end. You don't want to miss this. Chris, Canada's housing market is expected to face significant challenges and opportunities driven by a mix of economic and social factors.
Yeah.
With immigration fueling demand and a persistent lack of housing supply, economists and real estate experts predict price increases in many regions, particularly in major urban centers. However, affordability remains a pressing concern as rising interest rates and high prices create obstacles for many prospective buyers. So, my first question to you, Chris, is will the experts be right in 2025, or will it be just like an average increase or a recession? Which one will it be?
Yeah. Well, and honestly, I think it's going to feel a little bit different for people across the board. Toronto people are probably still going to feel like it's in a deep recession when it comes to their housing because they've done such massive drops over the past year. Vancouver, recovering a little bit, but they're just not used to those sorts of situations when it comes to their housing. They are going to see some increases this year. I do still kind of stand by they've got a rocky road ahead in places like Toronto. Calgary here, though, Edmonton, Alberta, we're going to feel pretty solid. And I think our economy is going to feel really good because we're just not used to seeing the jumps that we had last year. People are getting their property tax assessments in right now. Everybody's, in a hubbub over how much their property values have increased. And I think we're going to see, 4 to 5% increases kind of across the board throughout all of Canada, just like most of those economists are saying.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you believe this is the article that I was talking about. You believe that we'll have 3 to 5% increases across the country on average.
Yeah, I do. And I think there's going to be a few things that are working for it and a few things that are working against it. But I do think that's where we're going to end up as well. I think those are very realistic expectations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's because you remember we talked about a few times in the podcast, the first-time home buyers can take out a mortgage to be paid back over 30 years instead of 25.
Right. Yeah, in my opinion, that's great.
A what?
In my opinion, that's great. I think that's a good move by the government.
Yes, of course. And also remember even if you're not the first home buyer, you can have a 30 years amortization if you buy a new property.
Yeah. They're doing whatever they can to help with that. Well, they're not doing whatever they can to help with the new, but they're doing a few things to help with the new construction, is sure. Our government always like to throw a few flips into those things as well.
Exactly.
With taxes and that sort of stuff. But overall, I think it's going to be good.
Exactly. And also remember the insurance mortgage cap. It's at 1.5 from the previous 1 million. I also want to say that a new mortgage program will be available for the renovation or adding units, and that will be up to $2 million. I heard about it. I want to make sure and be sure what I'm talking about. So as soon as that is done, a done deal, we'll talk about it. I'll bring it on. But that's another program that's coming.
Yeah.
And so what else do you believe that it will influence the market this year, other than the immigration, right? So we have immigration, the demand drivers. Let's say what drives the demand. Immigration continues to boost housing demand, particularly in urban areas. Obviously, immigrants move into big cities. Yeah. And strong population growth is expected to sustain pressure on the housing market. But that's the experts. I just want to, let's look at that. Are we really sure that in 2025 we're going to continue with the strong population growth? Maybe in the first quarter, second quarter, I don't know the second half of the year, especially if there's a change in government and we all Canadians don't want mass immigration. So that's a point that I'm against a little bit of the experts, because I don't think it's going to be like the immigration is not supposed to grow even more. Okay,
Yeah.
that's my point.
Well, and you know, I mean, they changed so many of the policies for what they're bringing in now, which I think were good, although probably a little bit overly drastic. They went really drastic on one side and then pulled it back really drastic the other side. So I think you're right. I think that whole immigration into Canada, that's going to slow very much. And then we've got all these temporary residents that are, you know, going to be coming up due for their timelines over the next little bit as well. And so there's going to be a lot of people leaving. Then we've also got the interprovincial. So, you know, how that as well. You know, there's still a lot of
temporary workers.
Well, and the temporary workers were really the big ones that were really kind of driving a lot of this.
It's true.
Yeah, it was just bad policies. Like really,
it's bad policy for the temporary workers, and not only for us, it's for them also.
Across the
board. The sacrifices they have to do. They come here, they work, because this is. I saw a documentary, and there a guy influencer from India, which was talking to the Indians that want to come to Canada. And one of the points and that was on CBC or something, like a few days ago. He said that every Indian who comes to Canada must be prepared to suffer. He said that. He was like, well, why do you come then? But I understand their concerns. What are we doing?
Yeah, like we've set up this kind of false vision of euphoria, and then this is the reality. And there's been a lot of nefarious people too that have been taking advantage of that situation to, you know, really kind of sell the dream at a profit.
Yeah, a lot of students. That we forget to talk about the student category.
Yeah.
That has been a lot of abuse. Your point in the students,
really real.
Yeah.
And then jobs that aren't really real as well. So kind of hitting on both sides as well, where there's been a lot of stuff that's been going that's really shady, and a lot of the checks and balances that used to be in by the government to make sure that stuff didn't happen, completely quashed in the interest of getting things pushed through really quickly and avoiding red tape. Well, some of that red tape really should be kept in play. So but for the immigration side, I agree. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near what it was. I don't think we're going to have that same demand that's going to affect the rental market, which has already greatly started, as well as the for sale market. And the two are very closely tied together. So from that side of it, I think we're going to see much of a lessening, which means less people going for that exact same property. And at the end of the day, that is going to be the big conversation that we're having today on how easy it is to buy a property in 2025. I think it's going to be easier overall, just because people will have choice.
Yeah, that's my point.
Seen in a while.
I believe it would be easier, not harder.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah,
there will be certain things making it harder, you know, for sure. Interest rates, you know, although they're coming down, perhaps still maybe not enough. Fixed rates staying up, and then housing prices, which have come up drastically in some areas of the country, combined with the continued increases that you'll see it particularly for certain sectors like detached homes. So all of that will make it more difficult, but overall it's going to be easier and it's going to be less stress. And frankly, if I was a buyer, I would much rather be looking at 2025 for my purchase and paying a little bit more, but getting the right property and not feeling super stressed and frenzied into getting something so I have somewhere to live. I think it's going to be a better year all around.
Yeah. And I heard a lot of, you know, we made a few podcasts about Calgary and Toronto with the rental market.
Yeah.
But now I hear from Toronto, it's a bloodbath. A lot of people say it's a bloodbath because of all the units, you know, they call it the little gray condos units. Yeah. And they're coming on a market, and they right now, if you rent if you have a rental in Toronto and your rental is coming up, and you look around, The people there are telling me that you're gonna get $200, $300, $400, $500, $600, $700 less for this almost the same unit.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Yeah.
Close to $1,000 less for the same unit. You understand?
Yeah. I mean, it's great on one side. Great for renters.
It is great, but then what is going on? Why the sudden change? And this is going on for the past like 4, 5, 6 weeks, not too long ago.
Yeah.
In Toronto, it says it's bad for the landlords will suffer in Toronto, and probably after that in every major city.
You know, you look at what we were just talking about with the immigration. So suddenly we had masses and masses of people coming in who've got to live somewhere. And then you've got investors and landlords that are taking advantage of it and
of course
boosting things up and boarding house rooms and all that other stuff that you know kind of went along with the grayer side of that whole industry. And then their mortgage payments went through the roof. So they were all crazy excited about what they were getting, and then suddenly their payments went up and they were losing money. And then everybody left.
Yeah,
these people that are renting. Well, yeah, there's just so much.
That's my point.
And there's also so many of these properties that were bought on speculation in places like Toronto that are now closing, and they were bought when everything was roses and glory, and the market will do nothing but increase. And it's dropped in places like that substantially.
Yeah,
you got a whole bunch of people now that are trying to get rid of their purchases that they committed to 3 years ago or 2.5 years ago, that are now having to sell at a great loss.
Oh yeah, at 600,000. I want to show you something. Here.
While you're looking that up, I saw there was a Facebook post on one of the private realtor pages over the last little bit, and there was a few actual examples where bought 617, sold 485. You've lost a lot on that. And that was just one example and very indicative of, it was the only one that threw the actual hard numbers in there, but tons of people that are losing a lot of money on those. And their options are closed, knowing that you may even have to get alternate financing because the bank won't do it based on your new valuation. And then hope that it goes up over the next couple of years and that you can rent it probably at a loss again.
Exactly.
Recover some of yours. It's a bit of a mess.
Yeah, it is. And so some of the experts say that the housing supply remains insufficient, but we have to be precise on that point. And you already did it. I just want to make sure people understood. So there are some categories like detached homes that will keep their prices. Yeah. But what we're talking about here, it's condos for sale, but mostly for rentals. For rent, it starts to drop in price, and that will affect the market with the time. It's just a matter of time. And what the other supply challenge is that the lack of new inventory is a major factor contributing to price increases. Mm-hmm. So like, let's say, let's take again the point, detached homes. You have detached homes that are selling very, very, very well, right? If they continue to build the same detached home, then that segment will become more available, let's say, right? Like people will get into that segment easily. But what they do, a lot of contractors build townhomes and condos. Am I right? Am I getting the same? Are you getting the same vibe, like rentals and condos for sale and townhomes, and that's pretty much it.
The cities are pushing it. They're trying to push all this stuff through as much as possible, and the developers are eating it up because they can do it at low cost and sell for nice profits, doing 12 units instead of 2. But it's not the right inventory for what we need.
Yeah, exactly. Let me show you this, Chris. I want your opinion on this one. So this is on January 4th. See here?
Yeah.
Epic Lorne, okay, Mississauga, Ontario. Not even Mississauga's most exclusive community is immune to the losses. In 2021, a buyer spent a whooping $5.5 million on a brand new mega mansion in Mississauga. About 1 year earlier, they tried to flip it more than $1 million more, but no takers. They tried to sell it 7 more times. Finally, in December, they capitulated and sold it for $600,000 loss.
You know, if they only took a $600,000 loss, they probably should consider themselves fairly lucky.
Yeah. Yeah. This. Wait, there's more.
More.
Okay. There's another. This is only like the last one that I saw. Okay. But there's more than that. Okay. So see Kitchener. So this was what? In Lorne Park. Okay. In Mississauga. So this is Kitchener, right?
Mm-hmm.
This one is wild. Bought in February last year. So that is January 8th, like a week ago. Bought in February last year for 1.08 million Canadians. The owners put it up for sale in less than 7 months. The property sits on the market for a total of 118 days before the owners capitulate. They sell it for $200,000 loss. $200,000 loss in less than 11 months.
Yeah.
See? You understand? And this is a townhouse. Or $200,000 loss in a townhouse. We have here the listing ID, everything.
You know, we've seen, like, I've personal witness to a bunch of this in Calgary where people bought. There was like a 6-week period that was just absolutely insane. Anybody that bought during that period, I feel very badly for. They paid a massive amount over a real fair market value, but it might have been that fair market value for that certain very, very tiny period of time. But they bought because of need. They had to get into something, or at least that was their feeling, and it has to be done immediately.
Yeah.
So they bought, they move in, they realize that this is a horrible property for them, and literally sell 6 months later for $80,000 or $90,000 less. We're talking like $600,000 purchases.
Oh,
like, that's almost a 20% drop in 6 months. And it's not so much that it was a drop, but you overpaid at the beginning. You were drastic. It was a bad property to begin with, and things like this then tended to be happening. Anytime you get frantic markets like that, there is a lot of ill-conceived results that end up happening, and it's very unfortunate. But luckily, 2025, I don't think we're going to be seeing anything like that. Fingers crossed.
Me too.
But there are still people that will be taking a great loss that managed to stay in it for a year and a half before needing to sell.
And that's my point. Yeah, that's my point, Chris. So I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong for all those people, because my feeling is that we will go into recession this year. Okay. Yeah. I hope that the prices will stay at the same levels. Like, in 2008, we were in a sum of mini recession, because of the subprimes problems in the States. But the prices in real estate stayed the same. But they drop a little bit for a few weeks, few months, then they took off again. So I hope this is what will happen, because my feeling, and I was right on the last 4 trends, big trends in real estate. I call them all. And now I feel, unfortunately, I'm not going to say a depression, but this is a recession very quickly.
Yeah.
Well, especially if Trump applies the tariffs, probably even depression, which is bad.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, I don't think it's going to be if. I think it's how much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You are very smart, Chris. Exactly. Yeah. What point? Because we will be impacted, because people don't have any money. The government stopped the EV incentive before they were supposed to.
Mm.
They were supposed to end at end of March, and they sent a letter. I know that because there's a lot of people that buy EVs in Quebec, and they were really mad because the rebate that was applied in December in the contract, the guy came in at the beginning of January to take possession of the car, and that rebate wasn't available anymore. So Hyundai had to do a $5,000 rebate instead of the federal government.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because the government said there's no more money for EVs.
Yeah.
So no more money for EVs.
And I mean, that is not one podcast in and of itself.
Oh yeah, especially because I don't want to cut you, Chris, but this is a subject that I like. The manufacturer, as soon as that came in, they ramp up the prices, and now that there's no more incentive, they'll bring down the prices. You'll see that. You'll see that.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy from top to bottom. But you know, like honestly, I still think the biggest culprit, the government really has to get an edge on what the heck they're doing and stop changing everything massively every 2 bloody weeks.
Yeah.
Like, what are these guys doing? And that's another podcast.
Exactly. Exactly. So let's finish with the regional variation. So we understand that the price increases are likely to be more pronounced in major cities like Toronto and Vancouver. That's what the experts say. I would say also the price drops will be more pronounced in the big cities. Okay. So this is my point. I don't believe the prices will, they say in some of cases 8%, 10%. They say the prices will increase in 10 and 12%. I see articles. Yeah. I can bet on it. The prices will not increase by 10 and 12% in 2025. And I hope.
I mean, at the end of the day, like, God, I hope not, because people got to buy, people got to live somewhere, right? But across certain sectors, you know, I think it is a little bit more possible, certain geographic areas that might withstand the recessions that you were talking about and the tariffs. And this is the part that really, you know, it's taken a while to grasp onto, but things have operated the opposite of the way they should be. You know, the mortgage rates going absolutely through the roof, and immediately in the midst of that, we saw massive price increases in places like Calgary here. It's the exact opposite effect of what it should have, but we've been seeing a lot of that. And unfortunately, I think a lot of that's going to happen with the tariffs and with the economy and everything else. We're going to see a lot of things that the benefit to it should be housing prices kind of dropping a bit. Unfortunately, some people losing the equity in their home, but other people being able to still be able to get into housing. I don't think that's going to happen. I think our affordability is going to continue to go down. A lot of small businesses are going to shut. You're going to see more of this stuff happening that just can't do it anymore. And then in the midst of that, the price of their groceries is still going to increase, and the price of their housing is still going to increase, and it's going to make it really difficult for everybody. I think we're going to see a lot more of that.
Yeah. So just want to bring a point. The economic factors and policy factor we're going to talk about, but I saw an article in TV Nouvelle, which is a television station in Quebec. The Saint-Denis Street, which is one of the most live street in Montreal, has like the people, the restaurants and the bars and the barbers and everything cannot rent anymore because they don't have enough clients. On the Saint-Denis Street is like, I don't know, like whatever will be compared to Calgary, but the street that has the most traffic on it, foot traffic, Saint-Denis. They don't have clients, and I see articles talking about how disastrous the holidays period was for them. Almost no clients. Clients were canceling restaurant reservations. People not going to bars anymore, and I believe that's because people don't have any money left. This is like a big sign. There's like that's what I'm saying. Is not when, but it's not if, but when, because everything goes up and people don't have any money left. Government has any money left, and we'll go in a period. Probably the government will change in a period of how how you say that when you want to cut on expenses. There's a word for it, like a fancy word for it.
No, not budgets. That doesn't sound very fancy.
No. Anyway, like the government has to cut on their programs.
Right. Yes. And well, I mean, our taxes can't keep going up forever. So we got to start seeing some.
That's my point. Okay.
Yeah.
I believe we're at the end of the road with this welfare state. So this is the last article that I want to show it to you. Is that 50% of Canadian manufacturers considering layoffs if Trump's tariffs enacted. So that is big.
Yeah.
Tariff will endanger nearly 600 billion in exports to our largest trading partner. In Quebec, they talk about around 100,000 high-quality jobs. Okay? So
it's going to be massive. Like, it really is. It's going to be massive. It's just how massive is it going to be?
Yeah, it is. 2025, I believe it's going to be a year that we will remember, like the 2020 COVID. 2025 is this type of year.
Yeah.
In my opinion. And I hope so much that I'm wrong and everything is going to be perfect. Prices will stay the same or increase like 1%. No one loses money. Interest goes to 2%. Everyone can get into the real estate market. That's what I hope. But what I feel is that we are starting to in a recession very soon. And I hope it's not going to be a bad one. Yeah. That's my point.
Well, it definitely will be very bad for at least some people coming into the short term, because if you've got anything tied to that, even just from the unknowing, it's going to affect you. And I've talked to a few business owners over the last little bit that are, they're planning on shutting their doors.
Yeah. And we know the backbone of United States and Canada, and probably most of the G7 countries, either small and medium businesses.
Yeah.
It starts with them.
Yeah. They just don't have the play, right?
Yeah.
The Amazons of the world can weather through some stuff, and those guys have weathered through some stuff.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, look at them now.
Yeah.
But the little guy, people like you and me.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a lot tougher.
Yeah. Chris, I want to finish with an outlook for stakeholders, or what are the options? So let's talk about the home buyers. They will face challenges, but also they may find opportunities with careful planning. Like you said, get into the market for a property that you really like. And that I believe is one of the options. What do you believe for the home buyers?
Yeah. And I do. I mean, despite the way, that half hour earlier kind of all sounded, I do think it's going to be a better time for buyers to come in, because once again, you're better off to pay a little bit more for the right property than a lot less for the wrong property. And there were just too many people paying way too much for the wrong property in the past year. So I think it's going to be way better for the majority of them. So you're a home buyer, you're good. Just be tempered so you don't spend every dime.
Yeah. So investors are advised to stay informed about regional trends and economic conditions. So in other words, watch what you're buying. If you're an investor, stop speculating on everything,
Well, and you know what? This radical thing of, oh my gosh, got to get into this.
Yeah, exactly.
Easy money, free stuff from the government. So much of this has gone completely sideways from so many people now that are committed to something that one policy change has completely messed them up. And the fact that everybody and their dog is wanting to do the exact same thing, with now so many players coming into the market, it's just be careful. Just be careful. Go for the long game, not the short game.
Yeah. And let's finish with the last people on the list. It's the policymakers, the politicians. So the expert says that they are urged to prioritize housing supply solutions to stabilize the real estate market.
Yeah.
Which I would say to that, if the new government just get out of the way, let the free market do this stuff, stop printing money, stop doing mass immigration, and focus on building jobs and producing more.
Yeah, like
That's it.
basically, yeah, like basically create those long-term potentials and
Yeah.
opportunities for us as a grand market to flourish from the things that
Exactly.
we already do well and bring in new opportunities. But you don't keep up with this reactionary sort of policy making that gets flipped on and off like a floodgate, because it never has the results that we all need and are looking for. It just doesn't. We need some strong long-term thinkers in our government and as our new, as you say, policymakers.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. That's really well said. Do you have anything else to add, Chris?
Nope. Just look forward to seeing you all again next week.
Me too. That's the same for me, man. I really appreciate it this week. Starting the year in a good mood with a lot of projects. And we will like to thank you for the listening and also for the support. And we will see each other next week. Ciao, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.